Hello and welcome to the Filter Free Popcast. I am your host, T.J. Stevens,
Step-ins.
the MVP of Filter Free. You almost made me
The
lose my train of thought.
VD of Filter Free.
No, that's you.
The Immaculate Reception of VD.
Joining me as always, Dollar Bill Dave.
Hi.
And Timmy C.
Who? Crickets. Crickets. Don't forget, TJ has crotch crickets this week, so you're going to be hearing a cricket all week. This is fucking great audio, DJ.
If you hear crickets in the show, that is not sound effects. That is a cricket by my house. That's just incredibly loud. Apparently, it's the size of a chainsaw. So
but you can't find it.
No.
Terrible.
Very good.
DJ's got crotch crickets.
I do.
The VD of Filter Free.
That's right.
Let's talk about that time I went to Venezuela. Please remember to subscribe and rate this show wherever you get your podcast. While you're at it, follow the show on Twitter at FF Popcast. Follow the network at Filter Free Net. And we have no events planned. Probably going to be... You didn't even let me finish my sentence.
You guys don't have any events planned.
We're probably not going to have anything planned until 2023.
Correct.
Timmy, what have you got?
We're going to do an SCW before then. We're going to do SCW before then.
Well, I mean, none of our listeners are going to go to that. But none of them live near Iowa.
Blaine.
That's for Blaine.
I've been...
James Luck. He listens.
Is he around there?
Iowa. Huh. He lives like 2 hours from me, I think.
I've been back channeling with Mr. Justin Yent, and we may have a modified possible Sweet Life coming.
Without Dave or TJ.
Correct. That's why I said modified.
Modified. Because right after that, we're going on the cruise ship that at least one of us, if not all three of us, is going to get arrested on.
So that is now the reason why Dave is in the doghouse. Gotta love that.
That's
dude, you committed to it a year ago.
Almost. I know, that's what's so, like, she's legit mad about that now. And I'm like, fuck, you told me I could go on this trip.
A year ago.
And now my wife has...
Because something came up.
Fuck. You know what's funny is she is now looking for nannies for when we go on trips to take with us.
How fucking rich are you? She's looking for nannies to take along on our trips.
She wants to hire a nanny to start taking with us when we go on vacation.
A rent-a-hoe.
So we can start leaving the kids with the nannies and stuff when we go out and do things.
What's Hulk Hogan up to these days? He's still in a tutu?
Fran Drescher?
Yeah. Good one. Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, gosh. No.
Alice from the Brady Bunch?
The Brady Bunch. That's a good one.
This lady I work with's daughter is a nanny for 3 boys, and it sounds like she's tired of nannying 3 boys.
Mr. Belvedere.
I think she'd probably like to. And we said something about going on vacations. I bet she'd be all about it.
Mary Poppins.
Mr. Mary Poppins?
I'm
doesn't have to be a Mr.
Because I can't speak well.
Okay.
This is not news. So although Timmy is a rude dick and we don't have anything planned until next year, what content can they look forward to this year if they become a $10 dummy head?
They can look forward to Legends. Let's rethink this. We've had a lot of good ideas going about that for who our next victim will be. We have footballers getting paid with Tim and Dave. It was a little better this week. Football's still about half drunk.
Ooh. So
all right, TJ, pull your teeny wanger out. And
I really hope James, well, now he is fired because he was supposed to. Is this it?
The cricket took over.
No, that's not it. So he was supposed to leave me.
I'm sorry. Did you say post to leave me?
Supposed.
Are you 4?
Yes.
He was supposed to leave me.
Stop talking. He was supposed to leave me a video of y'all's show. Footballers getting paid with Timmy and Dave, which I'm not on.
It's not ballers, it's ballers. There's no Z in footballers.
Okay, so oh my god. Anyway, so
Z, you're way on out.
We that was you deserve a cricket for that one. So we of course we record this show a week ahead. So this is actually a week ago. So week 2, heading into week 2, you guys do your show and you start doing your predictions and stuff, and it's great content. I love it. I loved watching the show. You guys really got something going here. But I chimed in. I said I think the Cowboys are going to upset the Bengals because the Cowboys have a rich history of backup quarterbacks being worth the shit for one game and then being worthless after that. And I said Cowboys 13-10. You guys you guys shit on me. Dave called me a moron twice.
And the final score was not 13-10.
I love that guy, but he's a moron. But I still picked the spread because the end score was 20-17.
I know.
Yeah, so whenever you guys want to apologize to me, I'm ready. I'm ready to accept it.
I also called you a moron for saying that Chicago was going to beat Green Bay.
Yeah, that was a disaster. So, but I wasn't surprised.
The good news is, by the time this comes out, the Bengals will finally have won a game and beat the Jets with Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, who just won.
I'll take that bet after watching the Bengals the last
he won against the Browns.
Joe Burrow.
The Browns might be the best team in Ohio.
That's true. Joe Burrow does outside of Ohio State.
But I was going to say Ohio State's way better than them.
Joe Burrow just got sacked 38 times in one game. So
definitely have some problems on the offensive line we got to sort out.
But
this was the best nugget I heard of the week. Last year, Kansas City with a revamped offensive line also looked like trash about the first 4 weeks of the season.
You're not Kansas City, stupid.
That's right. We beat them twice last year. Twice.
And
twice. We beat them twice last year.
They have a Super Bowl win in the last couple of years. You don't.
That's right. We're waiting until this year to get ours.
And you keep saying twice. And I've got 2 words for you. Cooper Rush.
You lost to Mitch Trubisky and Cooper Rush in your first 2 games. You ain't winning dick balls.
We lost to Mike White last year, made him look like Joe fucking Montana, and still went to the Super Bowl. No, same team though.
You're gonna make Joe Flacco look like Mike White.
Nah, we know how to play Joe Flacco.
Do you?
Yeah. We've beaten Joe Flacco many a times.
So I love that's the measuring stick now.
The only thing Joe Flacco's beaten in the last few years is his dick.
We've beaten Joe Flacco with fucking Andy Dalton, so there's not much of a chance the Jets are going to win this game.
Andy Dalton had some good years, though.
Yeah, TCU.
Because he wasn't your quarterback.
No, he was, though. He was terrible with us. So
that cricket's driving me goddamn crazy.
That's a short drive for Dave.
That's not though, but I will have found it and gotten rid of it before Dave gets here because he will
burn your fucking house down and get rid of that thing and rebuild it.
So people
hide your kids, hide your wife, burn the house, kill the cricket, restart.
People have expressed their joy in us discussing current wrestling on the last show.
Everyone seems to enjoy that.
So what should we talk about?
Well, I don't know. I didn't watch much of it this week.
I ain't watched shit.
I had motherfuckers
on Monday night.
I had people moving out my house. I had band competitions. I got all kinds. I play the skin flute.
Tim plays.
My kid plays the saxophone. He's pretty good. Unfortunately, I mean, single dad life's getting to me. I haven't watched a whole lot.
See, I don't have that problem. I just bought NBA 2K23, and I've been playing that. So,
fucking nerd.
Yeah, nerd who plays sports ball on the video.
There's only one game you should ever play, and that's Colonel Custer.
Colonel Custer's Revenge. No, I am not playing that ever.
I will say,
fucking game.
What I've seen of the highlights of stuff, it looks like Dexter Loomis seems to be getting over quite well. with The Miz.
Oh, one thing that did happen: Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia for the world title.
I like how Tony Khan shit on WWE going to Saudi Arabia. He can go run shows in New York City. He can run a show there every day for a year, and he won't make anything close to what WWE's making running 10 shows in Saudi Arabia.
Probably one show in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, probably.
All that too. I mean, they're making how many billions to run 10 shows?
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's $100 million a show or some stupid number.
Get over yourself, dude. Your dad does plenty of business in Saudi Arabia. Step the fuck back off the ledge. Once again, like we said last week, Tony Khan has WWE's dick in his mouth so much. And that's your problem. Ignore them and do your own fucking thing.
Correct. I mean,
and stop worrying about it. You have a great promotion. You've got great wrestlers on your card. But all you do, you are so worried about WWE and what they're doing. It makes you look like a petty little fuck.
And learn to tie your shoes.
I mean, there is a conversation to be had about not only WWE continuing to run shows in Saudi Arabia, but the fucking Live Golf Tour and all this newfound business we're doing in Saudi Arabia. There's a conversation to be had about that, but not from you.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, like,
fuck it. Hold on. Here's my whole take on Saudi Arabia. Does the NBA do business in China?
Yep.
Yes, they do. Actually, I don't know if they do anymore.
Yeah,
they don't. Yeah, they do. They do a lot of business in China. There's a lot of shit that the NBA doesn't do because China says don't do that. There's how many millions of people live in Saudi Arabia?
A lot.
How many millions of people watch WWE all over the world?
A lot.
Do you think WWE should not let the people of Saudi Arabia who have absolutely nothing to do with what their government does or doesn't do enjoy their product? It doesn't matter. Yes, the government is paying for it. Yes, the government gets the good seats. But there's a lot of people in Saudi Arabia that want to watch WWE and want to watch it live. So let them.
I have a different view of it.
How much flack do we give Eric? I mean, we're doing podcasts talking about how great it was that Eric Bischoff put on a show in North Korea.
Correct. My thing
people just want to bitch just to bitch.
My thing would be is that's a sold show, and the people that go to that are not necessarily the general public of Saudi Arabia. They're friends, family of all the politicians and whatnot. But name me someone that doesn't have dirty hands dealing with countries that may not be of the highest moral ethic. By the way, our country sucks. Yeah. So who are we to pass judgment on?
Let us talk about all the shit we've done in our country. So it's like the people that are giving Russian people a hard time. Oh, I don't want to play her because she's Russian in tennis. Or who the fuck cares? She ain't goddamn Vladimir Putin. She's not the one making these decisions. Back that up, homie.
That's correct. That I'm on board with. Yes, that's stupid. Boy, this went in a weird direction I didn't expect.
Also, Evolution of Evil coming in October with Justin Yent and TJ Steppins.
Oh.
We also have the interactive booking contest with TJ Steppins and
I got to figure out how to get that program on my MacBook. Kolb has talked about it, but like y'all speak in nerd, and I don't understand what the fuck you are talking about.
And
you have to come visit us one of these days.
And I think Kolb doesn't like me.
He doesn't do poor.
Kolb lives in a nice ass house.
Okay.
Mine's above average. His is nice.
And the box score trivia contest with TJ Steppins. Beat the Steppins.
No chance. Not going to happen. Anything else we want to discuss before we head into the show?
I think we've covered all of our political correlations. I think we're good.
People
wanted current wrestling, and we gave them world events.
the geopolitical landscape of Saudi Arabia.
Tony Khan, stop bitching. All you do is bitch and complain. You talk more shit than anybody and turn around and run and tuck tail faster than any fucking body I've ever seen. Stop being a bitch.
I think Phil Brooks actually talks more shit than Tony Khan, and Tony Khan sits there and looks appalled when he talks it.
So okay, so while we're on that topic, there's one more thing I want to discuss on that briefly before we move on.
Has he been fired yet? Because he should have been.
I've heard of an interesting theory, and I'll say that for the end. But here's one thing. On paper, the idea of a company for the wrestlers, run by wrestlers, something like a phenomenal idea. I was super excited for AEW to start. We've since learned
idea.
This will never work, ever. It just will not. And I'm not going to disagree with you, Timmy. Lord knows CM Punk has started a lot of shit in his day. I am never going to dispute that. But we all saw how visibly angry he was during the presser. Right or wrong, he was. So for the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and apparently an entire gang of people behind them to kick in their door, even if they didn't kick in the door, to walk in their door angrily while you know Punk's emotional, with Ace Steel's wife in the room who's on crutches. What did you think was going to happen? I'll tell you this: if I was Ace Steel and my wife's in the room on crutches and 7 angry dudes walk in my room, I'm swinging. No questions asked.
Well, I think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks suck at wrestling.
They do.
But I will be the first to say, good for them for sticking to their guns. You want to go and talk shit? I'd have done the same thing. And I would have too. But the whole thing, if Ace still would have bit me,
I'd have knocked his fucking teeth out.
I'd have ripped that motherfucker's teeth out.
Yep.
So with that too, I'm not anyone else in the company, any other wrestler in the company. I don't think this would be an issue. The issue is they're supposed to be executives. They should know better than wait a day. Be here, Timmy. I don't care what you're going to say. You're an executive. Be professional. That is your job.
Yeah, but see, I'll never be an executive because
they are correct. All right. They are executives only in name. They're not fucking executives. They're still executives. They deem themselves that. That's bullshit.
Take the title away.
EVPs is fucking. It's a throwaway term.
Any
other wrestler would have shown up and whipped CM Punk's ass. Is what would have happened.
Well, that didn't.
You're making me take the side of the fucking Young Bucks. That's how bad this situation is.
CM Punk.
We all know how I feel about that. Congratulations.
I like CM Punk as a wrestler, not as a human.
No, I don't think we get along.
He is joining Bret Hart level curmudgeonness at this point.
Just petty. Everything he does is petty.
It's all about me, and anything that doesn't go exactly my way, I'm gonna bitch about. And now apparently he's not just gonna wait till he's out of contract. He's just gonna bitch about it that night.
So the theory I heard that I alluded to at the beginning of this, and then we'll move on, was I've heard a theory. It's an interesting one. 2 people are going to end up losing their job over this. CM Punk, which I agree with. Well,
good. Fucking
obviously Ace Steel. There's no chance Ace Steel comes back. But CM Punk and Kenny Omega.
I've heard nobody's lost any jobs right now because they're afraid of lawsuits.
Correct.
They have more money than God. Why are they worried about lawsuits?
Still doesn't look good. It doesn't look good on the company.
Tony Khan's daddy ain't funding this shit forever.
It's true.
I mean, billionaires become billionaires because they're smart with their money.
Well, they
don't just throw shit wherever and be like, hey, fuck it. I'm richer than God. We can just do whatever we want and pay for whatever we want. I guarantee you, it comes a point in time where if AEW is not legit making money, the plug will be pulled.
Well, here's my deal on that. I work in a fucking McDonald's, and if 2 guys start having a fist fight in my restaurant, they're both fired. So, lawsuits ass. You guys are fighting in the workplace. You're fucking fired.
Well, here's the worst part, too. If this would have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago, all these guys could be professional, put their pride to the side, and this angle would make mad money. It'd be the biggest.
Omega Punk would make big bucks.
That's not the way CM Punk works, though.
Did you not hear my caveat before I started talking? If they could.
Well, you said all these guys. It's fucking CM Punk.
Oh no!
Because guess what? CM Punk Triple H would have made big money.
You want to know how You want to know how I know it's all of them? When was the last time the Bucks put over FTR?
I think that's all on Tony Khan.
No, it's not. It's the Young Bucks, and they hate that FTR got over on them. They're now
the biggest problem. Here's the biggest problem with all of it. And this right here is why Scott Hall / Razor Ramon was awesome. It's not about whether you win or lose. It's about getting paid.
Correct.
Dude, we all know the shit ain't real. Get over your fucking self.
These guys all buy their own promotion.
If you were that big of a badass, and a lot of these guys are, but if you're that bad of a motherfucker, go get in UFC. If you think you can beat everybody and never lose, go fight for real. This is pro wrestling, dude. It's a show. People are going to win. People are going to lose.
CM Punk, go back to UFC.
I'm pretty sure if you booked us three against the Bucks and Omega in a shoot fight, I like our odds.
Y'all take Omega. I got the Bucks. Let's do it.
All right, let's get started with the show on that, because this week we're kissing goodbye to the current days. We're going back to September 10th, 1997, and we're dragging Timmy back to the world of ECW, and this is as good as it gets. However, before we get to the show, let's see what was happening in your world yesterday. Let's run through some events filter-free. Up first, stories that missed the cut. September 1st, Cartoon Channel premieres in Japan.
Is this like the Cartoon Network, or do they have some sort of mutant version of it with like anime?
The cartoon. I think this ended up becoming the Cartoon Network. Yes.
Okay.
Why the hell is this even on our list? This is stupid.
You don't like cartoons?
Oh, bitch, I'm 40.
There's some fun cartoons.
South Park.
Yeah.
No, not since this show happened.
Incorrect. Well, for one, South Park didn't debut till 99. So
yeah,
that's what I said.
Dope. Yeah, 98. September 1st, Peter Sampras has a 17-match winning streak broken at the U.S. Open by Peter Corda, a tournament won by Patrick Rafter. I don't know what on the 7th means. On the
Peter Sampras.
Peter Sampras.
Did I say Peter Sampras?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Peter Sampras
is Peter, got beat by Peter Corda.
And I don't think it's Peter Corder. I think it's Petra Corder.
September 5th.
That's my birthday.
I just fucked up all the names in that. Athens, Greece is selected to host the 2004 Olympics.
I was there.
How much do you think it cost to renovate the Coliseum for that?
We should try to get the Olympics.
9 yen.
We should try to get the Olympics. What?
Could have it in Dave
Walcott.
There.
They'll swim across Arena. Fire Lake. Walcott Coliseum will be where they do the.
If you see a boat coming, swim away.
And we'll show all this shit live on the Filter Free Network.
We'll commentate.
Oh, the next time we go to SCW, we're supposed to broadcast this. This should be interesting. September 5th, Larry King is married for the 7th and final time at the age of 64 to 38-year-old Sean Southwick. He would pass away in 2021 in the middle of divorce proceedings.
To be fair, the most shocking part of that story is that in 1997, Larry King was only 64.
64, yeah.
I thought he would have been 86.
That dude looked like Skeletor in 1985.
Mm-hmm. And this is, and he made it another 24 years after this. My goodness. September 6th, Martina Hingis wins the U.S. Open Women's Tournament when she beat Venus Williams.
So hot.
Which one?
Martina Hingis.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You said some chick was hot last week, and I said
Lori
something
Petty.
about a PP, and we were going to make a new shirt for it. And
Lori
Petty's ugly too. No, it was another chick.
Kim
I said
Kleister.
she looked like a Greco-Roman bulldog.
Kim Kleister, that's who it was.
Also hot.
No.
All right, Dave, let me explain this to you. In women's tennis, there's a lot of butter faces, and most of the time you don't see their face. All you see is just ass and titties jiggling around the court.
Not hot.
Now Google Natalie Golbus.
Look at her teeth.
September 6th.
Look at her teeth. Look at her teeth. Look at her teeth. Okay.
I'd bang.
September 6th, the funeral for Princess Diana takes place at Westminster Abbey, a story we've covered on a previous episode of this show. September 7th, we have the first test flight of the F-22 Raptor. It's a program I actually ended up working on at Langley Air Force Base in 2006, towards the end.
Doing what?
Communications.
Thought maybe you're like inflating the tires or something.
No, I wasn't qualified.
The F-22 Raptor is a badass airplane, by the way.
Yes. The first time I saw it take off from landing, I almost shit myself.
Yeah, it can take off like straight up, right?
Yes, yes.
And it can like stop in the air and then just, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far because, you know, the principles of aviation still apply. But yeah, it's a pretty badass plane.
Look, I saw it in Maverick. It's fabulous.
No, that was Hot Shots, dork. September 8th, Ally McBeal debuts on Fox.
Whatever happened to Callista Flockhart?
I don't know.
She turned sideways and got lost. Bitch was gross. Really gross.
It's September 9th.
Look at
Richie
her teeth.
Ashburn. Look at her teeth. Richie Ashburn, the 1955 and 1958 NL batting champion, passed away at age 70 from a heart attack.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down.
That's
Rick
Astley.
Not Richie Ashburn. September 9th.
Never gonna make you cry.
Burgess Meredith, the lovable grandpa and grumpy old men, and the Penguin in the Batman original series, and the coach in Rocky, dies at age 88. Love me some Burgess Meredith.
The coach in Rocky. Boxing connoisseur TJ. Coaching. It's trainer. Ass hat.
Do you feel better?
No.
September 10th. Mark McGwire joins Babe Ruth as the second player ever to hit 50 home runs in 2 different seasons, a record that would be smashed when Sammy Sosa of your Chicago Cubs hit 60 in 3 seasons. 6 days after this, McGwire would sign with the Cardinals for $26 million.
6 years after this, Sammy Sosa would be whiter than Mark McGwire.
No, that's not true. That didn't happen until like 07.
All right. 10 years. My bad.
Yeah. Actually, I think, weirdly enough, 6 years after this, he was still in the league. I think he was playing for Baltimore. September 12th.
I was texting. Who are we talking about?
Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Yeah. He's white now.
Steroids. Yeah.
Thank you. See? We just discussed that. September 12th. John Olerud of the New York Mets hits for the cycle.
And wears a batting helmet in the field.
Do you know why?
Does he really?
Yeah. I always remember. I was like, wow, that's weird. He's got a soft head. I don't know.
No, he had an aneurysm, and so he wore the helmet to protect it. There was another first baseman that wore one, but he wasn't nearly as talented or as big as John Olerud. So I don't even know.
He really did. What a dork!
Thank you. We knew this.
Your mom.
September 14th.
Making it up.
The Chicago White Sox retired the number 72 of Carlton Fisk.
Carlton Fisk.
September 15th. Google.com is registered as a web domain, and 1 day later, Steve Jobs is named interim CEO of Apple. We have covered Google in length at that was one of our first shows we ever did. We covered Google. And eBay.
No, we use Google.
September 17th. Dr. Sam, I was really hoping that cricket would come back then, it didn't. Dr. Sam Shepard, the subject material for the film The Fugitive, sees his wife's body be exhumed for DNA.
I had a girlfriend in high school whose granddad was the judge in the original trial for that in Cleveland.
And probably the all-time dick move ever, this Dr. Sam Shepard, when this happened, he became the most hated man in America. So naturally, his transition in life was to become a heel wrestler.
Correct. And never actually killed his wife.
Is that true?
Yeah, he didn't. Did you watch The Fugitive?
It was the guy with one arm, man. Jesus.
It wasn't just like it was the story of that. Yes, he didn't kill his wife.
The Fugitive was not a documentary.
I didn't say it was a documentary, but it was based on a true story.
I seen it on the internet.
Well, then, my God, it must be true.
If you go out and look at encyclopedia.com.
Encyclopedia Britannica, yes.
Thesaurus.org.
You know what's great for the people that don't know this is actually in our group chat now. We text chat to each other all the time. And they're real websites. September 17th. Red Skelton, American comedian, passed away at age 84.
Loved him in the Avengers. Or I guess it was the Captain America movie.
Okay. September 21st.
He was the villain.
I know it's wrong, but I know the joke. September 21st. Mike Piazza is the second player ever to hit 2 home runs out of Dodger Stadium. And on the same day, Cecil Fielder hits his 300th career home run.
300. One for each pound in his left ass cheek.
September 23rd. The Seattle Mariners break the record for most home runs in one season with 258. I'm sure that's been crushed 38 times by now.
Steroids.
Yes. And September 30th, Hooters, of all restaurants, pays $2 million in discrimination lawsuits.
How did this miss the cut? You give me and Dave a chance to talk about Hooters, and you're like, nope, story that misses the cut. That's fine.
Well, we have a lot to do. So this is actually one of the first shows we've ever done since we kind of reformatted everything and did stories that missed the cut, that we've ever had 5 stories because so much happened in this month. So something had to get left out. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? September 1st.
I want to go to Hooters.
I want to talk about Hooters.
I want to look at Hooters.
Correct.
Now we're talking. I want to eat chicken wings and look at titties. Yes.
That's correct. We should go to Hooters.
Let's do this, boys. Woo!
I often say on this show, this month is packed with stories. I really mean it this time, as so much happened, and I had such a hard time picking which to say and go. We're doing 5 stories instead of 4, so let's get started. Pretty sure I just said all that.
You
Here
did.
On September 1st. Oh, we're going to say it twice. I'll do
So
it live.
Audio to cut.
Here on September 1st, Jerry Lewis hosts his 32nd Muscular Dystrophy Telethon and raises $50.5 million. And I just spit everywhere on my desk.
Did you kill that cricket?
I mean, I might have. This is close enough. Now, we've had these telethons in every show we've covered this month, including one from 1977. So it's only fair we cover it because of how much money he's raised. This show was first created and aired in 1966. And for the next 44 years was hosted by Jerry Lewis. Even with this incredible tenure for both Lewis and the show, this actually was not the start. Lewis officially hosted his first muscular dystrophy show in 1952 after a staff member who worked with Lewis and Dean Martin asked him to host it. It is believed that Jerry Lewis even participated in the first documented telethon in 1951 when the show benefited a cardiac hospital. By the mid-1960s, the telethon organizers selected the Labor Day weekend for the time of the show, even though many people thought the show would fail since most people would be out of town or at least away from their televisions. New York City officials were so skeptical of the show's success, they didn't want to grant a permit to the air to telethon. That was, wow, I boggled that up.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that was. In 1966, on September 4th and 5th, WNEW TV would broadcast a telethon that was emanating from the Americana Hotel in New York and had a talk show style set complete with chairs for his guests to sit. There was also ample room for a 19-piece jazz band, phone banks, and a large tote board to keep track of donations that was complete with 6 changeable digits. Despite the skeptics, the show was wildly successful and ended with Lewis grabbing a ladder and painting a 1 on the board after the show concluded with $1,002,114.
In December of 1996, Lewis and MDA were recognized by the American Medical Association with Lifetime Achievement Awards for significant and lasting contributions to the health and welfare of humanity. Lewis's motto summed up the philosophy behind his years of devotion to MDA. I shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it for I shall pass this way again. For I shall not pass this way again. Excuse me. All in all, Jerry Lewis helped raise more than $2.5 billion through his telethons.
And just to show you that no good deed goes unpunished, problems began to creep up for the telethon as early as 1992. A group of Jerry's orphans, former poster children for the telethon, began organizing protests around the country for the way they claimed Lewis portrayed people with muscular dystrophy. Chris Matthews, a former poster child, said, quote, our goal is to put Jerry Lewis out of the disability business. He has no business being there. He doesn't understand in any way, nor does he wish to. The majority of disabled population. What? That was read poorly, but you get the gist.
More on that later.
But, I mean, okay. How much, Dave, did he raise?
$2.5 billion.
Okay, yeah. No, never
2.5. Not enough.
Never did a thing for him.
Donate your spine.
The gist of their argument was that he portrayed them as helpless. Well, guess what? He's trying to get fucking money from people. Joe Schmo in Montana ain't sending money to someone that they think is self-sufficient and doesn't need their fucking money.
Correct.
That's ridiculous. I get a little hot about this. I'm sorry. In 2011, the show was cut from 21 and a half hours to 6. This was also inevitably the first telethon not to be hosted by Jerry. On May 16, 2011, it was announced by the MDA that the 2011 edition of the telethon would be Lewis's last as host, and he would continue his role as the MDA's national chairman. But in a press conference with the Television Critics Association's summer press tour in late July 2011, Lewis denied that he ever said it would be his last telethon. So basically, they were showing him the door. And to speed up that process, at the same conference, Lewis criticized the reality television shows his telethon co-hosts were involved in. American Idol, which Lewis said featured contestants who were, quote, McDonald's wipeouts, and The Biggest Loser, correct, a series which Lewis claims is about contestants, quote, knocking their brains out trying to see how we beat the fat lady at 375 pounds, and in 4 months she's going to be 240. Who cares? It's ridiculous. Close quote. Not helping himself here.
No.
The MDA announced on August 3rd, 2011 that Lewis had, quote, completed his run as both host and national chairman effective immediately, and Lewis would not appear in the 2011 telethon. Wow, that shit went south real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And the telethon was eventually canceled in 2014. Had a good run, $2.5 billion. Didn't do enough for muscular dystrophy, apparently. And then, yeah.
So we did a story last week on Breaking Bad for what was that, TNA 09, and Bryan Cranston later played was he quadriplegic or paraplegic in one of his movies after that. Mm-hmm. And Bill Burr does a phenomenal joke about that. Bill Burr is probably my favorite comedian, and he said that people got upset because Bryan Cranston is able-bodied and was playing a man who was, again, paraplegic or quadriplegic. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was quadriplegic. And Bill Burr just looked straight dead in the crowd, the microphone, and goes, "That's why it's called fucking acting."
Yeah, I'm so sick of hearing about everything now with terms of who's playing what, why they shouldn't be able to play this person, why we need a different person. Fuck it, it's goddamn acting. You're playing pretend, bitch.
The Little Mermaid's quack.
I think the best thing I've seen about The Little Mermaid was that someone posted about Kylie Jenner would be the perfect Little Mermaid, and someone quoted the tweet and said, "There's already enough plastic in the ocean."
That's fantastic. That's the one that gets me. Little Mermaid's black. So the fuck what? It's not even
it's
real.
It's a cartoon to begin with.
It's a mermaid. It could be a horse for all I care. I don't care. Get over your. It's a fucking Disney movie.
I'm not going to watch it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'm upset. I was watching Forrest Gump the other night, and they didn't actually cut Gary Sinise's legs off for that role.
Yeah. Be committed. Honestly, I'm probably going to watch the new Little Mermaid with my daughter. So, maybe not right away, but eventually.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't.
I want to know why Gary Sinise
I don't give a shit.
Why did Gary Sinise get that role instead of somebody with no legs? Just bullshit.
Yeah, right? Like Seamus from the Family Guy.
Seamus.
No? Okay. Yeah, he's the pirate in Family Guy.
He had a 5-star match here a couple weeks ago.
I was thinking of Joe. All broke down Joe.
Oh, him too. He can cut his legs off. He wouldn't know. September 10th, Jack Atkinson, better known to the world as Fritz von Erich, passed away in Dallas at age 68 from brain and lung cancer. Everyone knows the tragedy of the von Erich family, and we're not really going to get into it now because we've done. I'm pretty sure we've done it on this show, and we've all heard it 9,000 times by now.
And we did it on Legends.
Yes, we did. We will instead be focusing on the life lived by one of the greatest SEALs that doesn't get his fair share anymore, Fritz von Erich. He was born on August 26, 1929 in Jewett, Texas, and started at a young age in football and on the track field. In fact, he would get a scholarship from SMU, or Southern Methodist University, to do both. He was signed with the Dallas Texans, not the future Kansas City Chiefs. This was a different NFL team, and was cut before heading up north to play in the CFL. In 1950, Jack would marry Doris J. Smith on September 21st, and 2 years later have the first of their 6 sons. While playing in Edmonton, he met longtime wrestler and promoter Stu Hart. Jack Atkinson was a quick learner and a natural heel, so after training with Stu Hart, Stu booked him in the Klondike territory as Fritz von Erich and teamed him with his kayfabe brother Waldo as a pair of evil German brothers. In 1959, the death of Jack's first son, Jack, who passed away from electrocution and drowning, caused Fritz to cease touring the East Coast and focus his attention in the AWA territory in Minneapolis, owned by Vern Gagne, and he even won the AWA World title in 1963.
All right, guys, here we go. Nepotism. The practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs. Or in this case, never making them job.
Dictionary.com.
Good job, you.
World Class Championship Wrestling had a grand total of 99 World Championship reigns. 35 of those reigns were by someone with the name Von Erich.
Or Atkinson.
It would have been way more if 9 of those Von Erichs hadn't died during the freaking WCCW reign. Fritz would own World Class Championship Wrestling for some 20-odd years. The Dallas territory would be the hotbed for young talent such as King Kong Bundy, Jake Roberts, Rick Rude, the Fabulous Freebirds, Gino Hernandez, David, Kevin, and Kerry Von Erich. And towards the end, we even got Steve Austin, Mark Calloway, and Cactus Jack.
Who?
It was also some of the best rivalries of the 80s, if not ever, when you have the rivalry between the Fabulous Freebirds and the Von Erich boys. The company was red hot through the mid-80s, but lost steam fast due to the lack of talent because everybody was going to UWF, WWF, and Jim Crockett Promotions. Finally, Fritz sold his share of the company to Jerry Jarrett, Kevin, and Kerry in 1988 and stepped away from wrestling. That was the end of it.
TJ, I love you. We're not going to talk about the tragedy of the Von Erichs, but focus on Fritz's life. His first son died of electrocution at 7 years old.
Well, I have to explain why he was touring. All of a sudden, he stopped and went to Minnesota and won the world title. Not just, he really likes the pine trees and the snow, so he just moved to Minneapolis, won the world title.
Right. To be fair, he was a huge Kirby Puckett fan, so.
Pretty sure Kirby Puckett wasn't
he
alive
was
by then.
Yes, that's the joke. In 1982, he held his first retirement match. Notice I said first retirement match against King Kong Bundy in the newly renamed World Class Championship Wrestling. The promotion was known for its high production values, which is questionable, use of entrance music, which is definitely the pioneering thing they had, and the use of television syndication, which they were fabulous at. The promotion was one of the most successful territories in the United States, with major draws like his sons, the Fabulous Freebirds, Abdullah the Butcher, Bruiser Brody, Gino Hernandez, and Ravishing Rick Rude.
I love that Timmy farted his own notes.
Correct. He wrestled his last match, which I guess would have been his last retirement match, November 27th, 1986, defeating Abdullah the Butcher by disqualification in Dallas. He won via disqualification.
And he also won hepatitis that night.
Correct. Of Atkinson's 6 sons, Kevin was the only one still living by the time Atkinson died. And he still lives, actually.
Timmy, I love you. We're not going to focus on the tragedy about Eric.
But you said that. I'm going to focus all over that shit. Like you said, Fritz died of brain and lung cancer September 10, 1997. Fritz was 68 when he died, which was 4 years more than the lifespans of his first 4 sons that died put together. They added to 64. He died at 68. Von Erich's true tragedy. The patriarch outlasted 4 of the children combined.
Well, usually we like to, move on from a downer to an uplifting story, but unfortunately, we're going to jump into another downer. September 13th, Mother Teresa has her state funeral in India. Now, I'm betting. I'm willing to bet. People.
Why is Mother Teresa a downer?
No, her life is not, but her funeral is at this story. And I'm sure people who've listened to this show since day one are OGs. Never imagined like, hey, I bet one day these 3 knuckleheads are going to discuss Mother Teresa. But here we are. Few people have impacted the world in a positive way more than Mother Teresa. We cannot do her life the proper justice, but we're going to try. I'm not, you know what? I put her real name, and I'm not even going to pretend or attempt to pronounce that. So
she was born with that.
Yes. She was born in Skopje in the Ottoman Empire on August 26, 1910, and was the youngest child of Nicole and Dranafil. Her father was involved in Albanian politics and died in 1919 when she was 8 years old. At a young age, Teresa became enamored with the lives and stories of the missionaries who went to Bengal, so much so that she decided at the age of 12 that she could commit to religious life. In 1928, while praying at the shrine of Black Madonna at Vatina Letnish, her religious resolve was strengthened, and it was here she would start her pilgrimages. She would leave home later in the year of 1928 and join the Sisters of Laredo at Laredo Abbey in Ireland to learn English, intending to become a missionary. She arrived in India in 1929 and began her novitiate in Darjeeling in the lower Himalayas, where she learned Bengali and taught at St. Teresa's School. In May of 1931, she would take her religious vows and chose to be named after Therese de Lisieux, who was the patron saint of missionaries.
In September of 1946, Teresa experienced what she later described as the call within the call when she traveled by train to the Laredo convent from Calcutta for her annual retreat. I was to leave the convent and help the poor while living among them. It was an order. To fail would have been to break the faith. In 1948, Mother Teresa began her missionary work with the poor. She adopted Indian citizenship and spent several months receiving basic medical training before venturing into the slums of India. By 1950, Mother Teresa received Vatican permission for the diocesan congregation, which would later become the Missionaries of Charity. In her own words, it would care for the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the crippled.
Naked.
Naked. As soon as I said it, I was like, "Ah, shit."
the naked.
the blind, the lepers, all those people who feel unwanted, unloved.
Why is that funny?
Lepers are hilarious.
No,
uncared for throughout society. People have become a burden to the society and are shunned by everyone.
Except me. I love the lepers.
On September 4, 2016.
I also love the naked.
Naked. That's how I say it, man. On September 4, 2016, in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, Pope Francis canonized Mother Teresa. In other words, he made her a saint.
Mm-hmm. I found this on the web.
Did you Google Mother Teresa's nipple?
Apparently, I did naked with my watch.
I Googled naked.
Tens of thousands of people witnessed the ceremony, including 15 government delegations and more than 1,500 homeless people from across Italy. We have fucked this all up.
Paying proper homage to Mother Teresa.
1 year later, during the celebrational honoring the first anniversary of her canonization, Mother Teresa would be made the co-patron of the Calcutta Archdiocese during a mass in the Cathedral of the Most Holy Rosary.
All right, TJ, I might need your help here because this shit gets a little tough to pronounce. Okay. According to a paper by Canadian academics Serge Larrivée, Genevieve Chenard, and Carol Seneschal.
Sure, close.
Okay, cool. Mother Teresa's clinics received millions of dollars in donations, but lacked medical care, systematic diagnosis, necessary nutrition, and sufficient analgesics for those in pain.
By the way, analgesics, nothing to do with your anus.
Correct. It's drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you could put... Never mind. In the opinion of the three academics, quote, Mother Teresa believed the sick must suffer like Christ on the cross. That's weird. And kind of terrible.
Yeah.
One of Mother Teresa's most outspoken critics was English journalist and anti-theist Christopher Hitchens.
Is it supposed to say that or atheist?
Anti-theist. He didn't believe in religion. He wrote in a 2003 article, quote, this returns us to the medieval corruption of the church, which sold indulgences to the rich while preaching hellfire and continence to the poor. She was not a friend of the poor. She was a friend of poverty. She said that suffering was a gift from God. She spent her life opposing the only known cure for poverty, which is the empowerment of women and the emancipation of them from a livestock version of compulsory reproduction. Wow, that's strong. Hitchens said that her intention was not to help people and that she lied to donors about how their contributions were used. It was by talking to her that I discovered, and she assumed me, she wasn't working to alleviate poverty. She was working to expand the number of Catholics. In 1994, Mother Teresa argued that the sexual abuse allegations against Jesuit priest Donald McGuire were untrue. When he was convicted of sexually molesting multiple children in 2006, Mother Teresa's defense of him was criticized. Maybe this Mother Teresa chick, not everything she's cracked up to be.
Well, I mean, for one, I love that you called her a chick, but two, I mean, we have to consider, and I'm not even going to get into Hitchens' thing because that would take an hour and a half to discuss, but we also have to consider, just like from a world news perspective, she lived a covenant life. She didn't, like, TV wasn't a thing ever in her life. I doubt she read newspapers. She had no idea what was happening outside of her world. No.
Yeah. But it was like, I get Hitchens' point because her point was not to help the poor necessarily. It was part of the means to get them into Catholicism. Yeah. And she took the donations and apparently may not have all gone to help the clinics that she was establishing, but maybe the Catholics were getting their cut out of it. Because we all know that the Catholics have gotten their cut out of everything for the eternity of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of my issue with mission programs now, even. You go over there to help the people, but you're not just helping them. You're also saying, hey, this is our religion and this is what you should believe now.
I don't know why, but between this discussion and the discussion we had at the beginning of the show, for some reason, I feel like this is going to be our last episode. I think we're just going to piss off everybody.
Well, that's why there's audio editing. So, but I'll cut out all the cricket sounds.
Yeah, you leave that. Yeah, leave the rest of the cricket. Sure. Let's move on. September 22nd. Legendary sportscaster Marv Albert, the voice of primetime basketball, and before that, the New York Knicks, pleads not guilty to sexual assault charges. If you are not familiar with this story, buckle up. 1997 was a special year for Marv Albert as it signified 35 years in the sports broadcasting business. This was also the year that Albert would win the Kurt Gowdy Media Award that is presented by the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. The year prior, he won Sportscaster of the Year from the American Sportscaster Association. He had already won Cable Ace Awards, Emmy Awards, and was already in one Hall of Fame. We're prepping for the NBA season to begin in the fall, and then the news came down in one fell swoop. Marv Albert became a pop culture punchline. He had pled guilty to sexually assaulting 42-year-old Vanessa Perhock. Perhock had described that Albert had thrown her onto a bed, bit her, then forced her to perform oral sex after an argument in his hotel room on February 12th, 1997. DNA was linked and matched to Albert, and I'm not going to say where it came from because that's from for a different podcast on this network, Evolution of Evil, starring Justin Yent and myself.
It came from his penis.
No. It's not where it came from. His penis left it somewhere else.
His anus.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, Lord. Testimony was provided by different women. Patricia Madsen, who told the court that Albert bit her on 2 different occasions in 1993 and 1994 in Dallas and Miami, which she then classified as unwanted sexual advances. In Dallas, she stated that Albert called her to his hotel room to help him send a fax. When she walked into the room, she found Marv Albert wearing white panties and a garter belt.
That's my office attire.
What?
That's what I wear to the office.
That's what I wear when I send a fax.
Every time I go to the copy machine, white dress shirt and garter, white panties and a garter belt.
Albert's defense was that she asked to be bitten, and then Albert denied the accusation that he had wanted her to bring another man into the affair. Albert then described her recorded testimony to police as an Academy Award performance.
Do you think he said yes?
Oh, of course.
Once the bite test came back and proved to be Albert's, he pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault and battery charges, and the sodomy charges were dropped. Albert received a 12-month suspended sentence. NBC fired him after the sentencing and ended a relationship of more than 20 years. Don't feel too bad, though. Albert was back in 1999. 2 years.
Mm-hmm. For sexual assault that he pled guilty to.
2 years. Albert recently retired in 2021 at the age of 80 years old, and we have no further reports indicating that his teeth are strong enough to continue biting people, or if he still wears panties and garter belts.
Well, I guarantee he wears a toupee.
Well, I mean, at this age now, he's 81. He's definitely wearing bloomers. He's not wearing.
Y'all are just deviants talking about this shit. Let's talk about his career.
Who gives a shit about his career?
Prior to the scandal, Albert built a career that was the envy of most in his profession. While he provided play-by-play for multiple sports, he was and is best known for basketball. He is the Vin Scully. He is what Vin Scully was to the Dodgers to the Knicks, basically.
Wrong. Not even close. Vince Scully is on a planet all by himself.
Well, Vince Scully doesn't. Well, he's dead now, but he doesn't bite people, and like wear pants. Well, he might wear. Yeah.
I mean,
who knows what Vince Scully did? Yeah,
we don't know about the Vince Scully memoir. I haven't read it yet. But
anyway, his voice was immediately recognizable, and he turned simple words like "yes" into a catchphrase. I don't know how you even do that. That's terrible.
From downtown.
Correct. Albert built his career back more quickly than anyone would have imagined, as Dave pointed out. In 1998, he was hired by MSG to call Knicks games on the radio again. In 1999, he landed a job with TNT as its NBA play-by-play voice. NBC hired Albert back in 2000. Are you fucking kidding me? By the way, speaking of Land of the Weird, the fiance who stood by him during his trial is now his wife. He is also still wearing that goofy ass toupee, and he's a millionaire. The scandal cost him significant embarrassment, but it could have been much, much worse than it was. Marv Albert, you're a piece of shit.
I can only imagine the conversations they had after that. Like his fiance is like, "Hey Marv, why don't you ever bite me, bitch?" Like
I'm gonna guess
we don't do crazy shit.
He probably does.
That better not have been my underwear you were stretching out, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
All right, I've seen Marv Albert. He wasn't stretching shit.
You leaving skid marks in my panties, you piece of shit. Now I gotta wash my underwear.
It's blood from my biting people.
Now I gotta wash my underwears twice. Now we're gonna do a story with bleach. Well, yeah, you can because it's white. We're going to cover a story that encompasses all of September as it's time to kick off the 1997 NFL season. And unfortunately, before I researched this story, I saw the season-ending standings for the 1997 season. Dave's Bucks went 10-6.
Woohoo!
The Bengals went 7-9, and the Chicago Bears.
That 7-9 was the best record we had the entire decade of the 90s.
That is sad. And my Chicago Bears went a robust 4-12.
Robust.
I'm really excited to do box score naked. I'm really excited to do buxom. I'm really excited to do box score trivia after this segment because there's a lot of one-hit wonders in this category.
One-hitters? Sweet.
One-hitters. A lot of one-hitters. A lot of one-hit wonders in this in the statistics category. Anyways, 1997 was the first season that the Houston Oilers played in Tennessee, moving from the Astrodome to the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. We recently did a story covering how the Oilers were one of the original teams in the AFL at the kickoff of the 1960 season. Although the Oilers did have some serious studs coming through Houston. Billy Cannon, Archie Manning, Dave Casper. Archie Manning again, he's so good he deserves to be on here twice. Earl Campbell, Bruce Matthews, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Mike Munchak. But the team never enjoyed any continued success. In fact, going into the 1997 season, in the team's 38th season, they'd yet to make a Super Bowl. I was drunk, I'm pretty sure, when I wrote these notes. Add this too to the fact that the team would be based in Nashville but play in Memphis because their new stadium would not be ready until 1999, and excitement in Tennessee for the new team was non-existent. Interstate 40 through Tennessee was under major construction at the time, making the trip from Nashville to Memphis 5 hours instead of 3. Memphis fans weren't excited to watch the team either, as Memphis citizens wanted their own team. So much so that owner Bud Adams had every intent on playing in Memphis in 1998, but after a game against Timmy's Pittsburgh Steelers, the two teams played in front of a packed crowd of 50,677. Sounds awesome. The problem is, the vast majority of the fans were Steelers fans. Adams was so embarrassed that he abandoned all plans to play in Memphis and ended up playing at Vanderbilt.
Who gives a shit about the Tennessee Oilers or Titans or whoever they are? My Tampa Bay Buccaneers finished with a winning record for the first time in ages.
Congrats.
And I was a new season ticket holder that year.
Huh.
Not only that, but the legend, wait for it, Derry Buccaneers of Tampa Bay made the NFL playoffs.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Thanks for that enlightenment, Dave. That was fucking fabulous. By the way, TJ. Bruce Matthews. We'll come back to him. First off, there is no fucking oil in Tennessee, so why keep that name? That's like the Jazz being in Utah where they don't allow music.
Thank you, basketball.
You're welcome. Led by head coach Jeff Fisher, the Oilers finished the season with 8 wins and 8 losses and did not qualify for the playoffs. Despite defeating the Oakland Raiders 24-21 in their first game in their new city, they lost the next 4 games and would not recover. The Oilers were only 8-8, but the Titans were on the cusp of something special. This roster was loaded with young talent. Steve McNair, Eddie George, Frank Wycheck, and the aforementioned Bruce Matthews, who did not play for the Oilers in 1960, but was born in 1961.
Bruce Matthews is the only NFL offensive lineman to make the Pro Bowl at 4 different positions.
And apparently in 4 different decades.
Hey, good for him. Are you shitting on the man?
Nope, shitting on you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Why?
Because you said Bruce Matthews was on the 1960 Oilers team.
No, I was going through the lineage of Oilers studs through the years. Archie Manning was not on the 1960 Oilers. Billy Cannon was the only one that I said. Asshat. Anyway.
Warren Moon.
I didn't say Warren Moon. So let's go ahead and get started.
You didn't. That seems like an odd one to leave out.
Yeah, of all the people. So it's time, of course, for box score trivia. And since I can't find my intro here, we'll just do this.
Fucking what the fucking fuck? Who the fuck? Fuck this fucking. How did you do fucking fucks? Fuck!
It's basically the show in a nutshell.
Pretty much. So we're gonna do NFL statistics leaders for 1997. Now, again, there's a lot of one-hit wonders here, but there's also a lot of mainstays as well. So we're gonna start with passing yards in 1997. I'm gonna make you give me 5 because again,
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino, number 3, 3,780. Brett Favre, number 2, 3,867.
John Elway.
John Elway, number 6, 3,635. There's 3.
Look at us go.
Steve Young.
One of these.
No, he got injured. Steve Young missed a lot of the year.
He did.
He got injured in the first game against the Buccaneers when Warren sat.
Vinny Testaverde.
Wasn't this Elvis Gerback? Vinny Testaverde, negative. Or was it Steve Bono? Maybe it was Steve Bono.
Boomer Esiason.
No.
Trent Dilfer.
Nope.
Yeah, he sucked.
He
Let's think.
Randall Cunningham.
No.
Brad Johnson.
Nope. Brad Johnson.
Warren Moon.
Of all people. Warren Moon, number 5, 3,678. Bonus point. What team did he play for?
Vikings.
Nope.
Seattle
Seahawks. One more.
Wow. Dave Craig.
No.
Troy Aikman.
Steve
Troy
McNair.
Aikman, number 8, 3,283. Here's the rest of your top 10. Number 10, how about this? Tony Banks of the St. Louis Rams, 3,254. Number 9, Mark Brunell. Number 7 of the Detroit Lions, Scott Mitchell.
Oh, Scott Mitchell wasn't a one-hit wonder. He was good for like 3 years.
He just said Detroit Lions. He didn't say one-hit wonder, you stupid dummy.
Number 4. No, you just assume that when I say Detroit
I
Lions.
always assume a Detroit Lions a one-hit wonder.
Number 4, Drew Bledsoe, 3,706. And just for fun, number 1, it's an Oakland Raider. One guess each. Who is it?
Rich Gannon.
Nope.
What was the question?
One guess. Oakland Raiders in the lead. Who is it?
Jamarcus Russell.
You already had a guess. And no, by 12 years, no. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jeff George, 3,917. I would not have seen that coming.
Love me some Jeff George.
I'm sure you do. Let's do rushing yards. Again, there's this one is loaded with guys who are either in the Hall of Fame or could be. So let's do 5.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders, number 1, 2,053.
Eddie
Emmett
George.
Smith.
Emmett Smith. No. What'd you say,
George?
Eddie George.
Eddie George, 1,399, number 5.
He was there then?
Mm-hmm.
Corey Dillon.
Corey Dillon, number 9, 1,129. There's 3. Timmy's whipping your ass right now, Dave.
Dave Meggett.
Dave Meggett. No.
Warwick Dunn.
Jerome Bettis.
Jerome Bettis, number 3, 1,665. That's 4.
Ernest Biner.
Warwick Dunn, no. Warwick Dunn, no. Ernest Biner, no. Damn it.
I got this.
Mike Allstott.
Nope.
The guy from the Packers.
Very good.
The guy.
He's number 4, if you can guess his name.
I can't think of his name. I'm thinking. I spit all over my desk.
Me too.
Give me a hint.
He played for Green Bay.
Is there a 49er on there?
No.
Alfredo.
Let me go ahead and
God,
stop
what
you
was
there.
his name?
Let me go ahead and stop you there.
What's his last name start with?
L.
Kajana Carter.
Kajana Carter. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, stupid.
5 seconds.
God.
Here we go. Number 10.
Fred Taylor.
Fred Taylor. Good guess, but no. Number 10. Ricky Waters of the Philadelphia Eagles, 1,110.
He used to be a 49er.
He sure did.
Dave
Number 8. Curtis Martin, 1,160.
Oh, the Jets.
New England here. Number 7, Robert Smith, 1,266. How about this one? Number 6 of the Oakland Raiders, Napoleon Kaufman, 1,294.
Don't know how we didn't get him.
Number 4 of the Green Bay Packers, Dorsey Levens. 1,435. Number 2.
We get that one. That one counts.
Nope. Number 2, Terrell Davis, 1,750. Our last statistics for the show.
Oh, we forgot TD from Denver. We're stupid.
1997 sacks leaders.
Warren Sapp.
Here we go. Warren Sapp, no.
Shit.
Takeo Spikes.
I'm not gonna answer that one. You know the answer to that one.
Reggie White.
Number 10 with
dead?
11.
Michael Strahan.
97. Michael Strahan. Tied for 3rd with 14.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
4 was the number I forgot to say.
Daryl Bush.
3. If you get one more, I'll give it to you.
Daryl Bush.
I don't know who that is.
Is there a bingo on there?
Of course not. You guys
No,
are 7 and 9.
No Justin Smith?
Justin Smith in 1997?
Yeah.
No.
Is there a Buccaneer on there?
Nope. There's a Raven, Falcon,
Ray
a
Lewis.
Seahawk, a 49ers, not Ray Lewis, a
Tony
Lion,
Siragusa.
a Bill,
Tony Sirk. He was an offensive lineman.
a Bill.
No, he
he's not.
wasn't. He played
He was a
defense,
nose
stupid.
tackle. A Bill, a 49er, and a Viking.
The Bill is the one I'm drawing a blank on because he's the one that.
I mean, he's only in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Randy Moss.
You're an idiot.
Fuck, I know who the Viking is too. I can't remember any of their names.
5 seconds. Shit in the bed here. Number 9.
Bruce
from the
Smith. Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith, number 3.
Boom, got it, boys.
With 14. There you go. Number 9, Peter Boulware of the Baltimore Ravens, 11.5.
John Randall.
All tied for 6th with 12. Chris Dolman of the 49ers. Michael Sinclair of the Seahawks, and Chuck Smith of the Falcons. Number 5 from the Detroit Lions, Robert Porsche with 12.5.
Porsche.
Second place, Dana Stubblefield of the 49ers with 15. And your leader, John Randall of the Minnesota Vikings, 15.5.
Look at me go.
And
I got all of them. Where are you at, Timmy?
Antoine Randall L.
That has been box score trivia. That is very wrong. Are we ready to start the card?
Let's do this.
Yes.
I'm hungry.
So we're getting ready to go watch. Well, we've already watched it. We're going to discuss ECW, As Good as It Gets, 1997. The date is September 20th. We are in the ECW arena, and your announcer is Julia Stiles.
Julia Stiles?
Julia Stiles. Let's go ahead and start match 1. We're going to start the show with the FBI coming out to a remix of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees as they get ready for their fight with Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten. Balls Mahoney grabs some sort of an American flag knockoff from the crowd, and it still irritates me when I see offshoots of the flag, as it becomes very clear that people have never read the code of ethics for the flag. The pre-match tomfoolery and intimidation and crowd work takes a while. It'll be Little Guido and Tracy Smothers with Tommy Rich in their corner for the FBI contingent. During the match, one of the comebacks, Axel Rotten did the Dusty Elbow on Tracy Smothers, and then Joey Styles did a Dusty impersonation, which was awful.
Correct.
After a weirdly non-violent match, considering Balls and Axel were in it, initially Balls and Axel get the win, but Smothers' foot was on the ropes for the 3. Referee Jeff Jones restarts the match, and immediately FBI gets a roll up for the win. Now the referee cuts a heel promo, which is absolutely normal.
It's Jeff Jones.
Then Jeff Jones drops an F-bomb and slaps senior official Jim Molyneux when he then punches Jeff Jones. Jones goes on the attack and gets slapped with a chair for his troubles.
I don't care what anyone says. Tracy Smothers acting like an Italian is one of the best things in the history of wrestling. All right, guys. Name me a tag team of worse wrestlers than Axl Rose and Balls Mahoney.
I don't think it's Axl Rose. I think it's
Axel
Axel Rotten.
I meant
Although
Rose.
Axl Rose would be worse, actually. You
Axl
just named
Rotten.
it yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
I got one. That we did one WCW show. It was Greg Valentine against like Norman Valentino or some shit. The super fat guy in a leotard. That one.
Were they a tag team?
The Super Invaders.
No, he's by himself. But he was also
Here's the whole thing. If you need a chair to get over in wrestling, you need to find a new fucking profession.
Like their tag team name would eventually be the Chair Swinging Freaks.
We will
That's
come back
stupid.
to this at the end of the show.
Great.
Balls got pinned, of course. Because the best thing he ever did in wrestling was Santa Claus.
He was Boo Radley in Smoky Mountain.
Balls got pinned. I hate when my balls get pinned.
I hate when I sit on my balls when I get into a bar stool.
All right, why is the name of this team not Rotten Balls? Because
Oh my God. That is sad. Why did no one think of that?
Correct.
Really, Paul Heyman?
I got the chance to meet Tracy Smothers in Huntsville in 2019. He's a very down-to-earth guy. And the reason that he had no problem playing an Italian, as Dave said, it was great. He also played a redneck. He played a rebel. He played all kinds of bullshit with the rebel flag. And he filled me in. He goes, I don't give a shit what they tell me to play. They're going to pay me. So I'll do whatever the fuck they want to.
Isn't he Southern though?
Well, he is, but he's not, quite
Italian.
the racist guy they played him to be most of the time.
I mean, I figured that.
Very, very nice guy. rest in peace, Tracy Smothers. He was a truly great guy I met in wrestling.
I mean, this is Tracy Smothers, not Colonel De Beers.
I also got a little extended meeting with Tommy Rich in 2019. He smokes a lot of weed. And is like wrangling fucking goats. If you ever book him, don't book him, please.
We tried to.
Do not.
We're going to have him on the next Legends.
We're not going to. First off, he doesn't know how to work Zoom, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, we're going to do it with like 2 cans and a string.
Let's talk about audio. Let's talk about your relationship with Jim Barnett.
Or what's the chick from WCW?
Missy Hyatt.
Yeah, there you go. How'd you break her in? I did ask that in person one time. I'll fill you guys in off the air how that went.
I mean, you don't have to.
They say Jeff Jones is looking for a clean tag team matchup. He does realize he works for ECW, right? Because that's not likely. You can say what you want to about Tommy, Tracy Smothers. They're by far the most talented in the entire match, bar none, because they're all trash except for the old guys, apparently. Joey Styles was not it on commentary. Too many stupid jokes. I did not enjoy him on commentary at all, ever.
He was terrible.
I realized.
Oh my God!
I realized watching the show that I'm starting to think Joey Styles was overrated. As a one man announcer, he was awful. Like when he had another guy, he wasn't bad. He was actually pretty good. But when he's by himself, ugh. But again, anyone would be bad in that position. It's an impossible spot to be in. But we're going to see more Joey Styles as now he's in the ring as he welcomes all of us to the show, even though we've already seen a match. He then introduces the sexiest man on earth, Jason. This miniature British bulldog rambled on for a while. I'm not entirely sure what this was about. He then introduces PJ Walker, who has now changed his name to Just Incredible. I love how we're just acknowledging that his name is fake in the ring in front of everyone.
I'll always maintain that Just Incredible is a great wrestling name. However, ECW should have just had him come out as Just Incredible. They never should have called him PJ Walker or even Aldo Montoya. Mm-hmm. They should have just let him come out with a new gimmick and be done with it.
Tony Khan.
By the way, PJ Walker is not his actual name, is it? Isn't it like PJ
Polacco?
Yeah.
PJ Polacco.
Like he has 47 fake names. But
Portuguese man of war.
Just imagine if mainstream wrestling promotion today tried to use all this copyrighted music. What the fuck?
More on that later.
Chris Masters looks old here.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Jason
way too short. Like. Way too short to be Chris Masters.
Well, when you get old, that's what happens. You shrink. And I'm sure his promo would have been great if I could have heard it. They apparently WCW doing the audio for this show.
Yeah, there were some rough spots. Match 2. Justin Incredible takes on Jerry Lynn. If I'm not mistaken here, Jerry Lynn was still doing the Mr. JL thing in WCW here. Some pretty decent heel work from Incredible to start the match. Jason pulls Lynn's leg, and then Lynn responded with a dive on Jason outside the ring. But on the way down, Jason made a business decision to just let Jerry eat shit on the floor. Lynn then drops off the top rope to Credible on the floor, and Lynn landed elbow first on the concrete. Someone tell him to stop. I hope the $40 for this match was worth it. I read the Observer while trying to find star ratings for this card, of which there were none. The ECW was trying to pivot from the obscene violence and angle more towards wrestling, which may explain this match and how the tag match before this didn't get violent until the end. But don't worry, there's more to come. After a pretty decent wrestling match, to be honest, Credible hits a tombstone and a swinging DDT for the win.
Whoever thought we'd get a pay-per-view match between the Portuguese man of war Aldo Montoya and Mr. JL?
That fart noise is apt here.
I will say I popped, great in the beginning of the match. They lock up, and bald-headed Justin Credible starts complaining about a hair pull.
Oh, his heel work to start the match was phenomenal.
Yeah. I once saw Aldo Montoya job out to Mantar on WWF television. It's crazy how much better people can get in wrestling with a proper gimmick.
That's right. If you get the gimmick of Mantar, you can beat a Man of War.
Do you remember when they were pushing Aldo Montoya there for like a week?
Yeah.
For a week.
He actually held the
It was
Intercontinental
one
title
episode
for
of
a second.
Superstars.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You know, this match wasn't bad, but it's what was so wrong with ECW here. They had a lot of spot fests, but not a lot of storytelling in the ring. This is exactly what I dislike about AEW and the wrestlers out there.
Young Bucks. Excuse me.
And with that being said, I blame one person, Paul Heyman and ECW, for the matches that no longer end with finishing moves. And you have to have 23,412 false finishes.
That's not even the number you wrote.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
A
little bit.
Jerry Lynn looks like wrestler number 42 off the jobber section. I mean, nothing about him says star. I'm going to agree with Dave. Lots of action, lots of kickouts from finishers. I wonder what Kevin Nash thought about this.
You need to let that go.
Fuck Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash even clarified it on his podcast. Just let it go, bro.
I don't care. Fuck him.
He wasn't. Match 3.
I'll whip his tall ass.
I'm sure you could. Match 3.
I would like to see that.
I would love it. I'd love it.
He's like 70. I could take him.
He's 63.
Same. That's like 70.
He would kill you.
I'm 37. I'm 37. You know what I'm not going to do? Fuck with Kevin Nash.
I would hold up a sign for Kevin Nash to whip your ass. I would literally have a sign. Whip his ass, Kevin Nash.
Get him, Diesel.
I'm going to buy you a sign that says whip his ass, Kevin Nash.
That should just be a sign or a t-shirt, I think. Match 3. Lance Storm coming out to Sad But True by Metallica will take on Chris Candido, who is coming in to Back in Black, the second AC/DC song of the night. This was another pretty good wrestling match, and it's easy to forget how athletic these two were. At one point, Storm did a standing drop kick and almost kicked over Candido's head. After some quick moves and counters, Storm goes for the victory roll, but gets powerbound for his troubles. Full disclosure, I was writing out these notes while I was watching the show, and I'll go ahead and proclaim this now without watching the rest of the show at the time. You owe it to yourself to watch this match. It was excellent. As Lance Storm told me on Twitter, this was his second or third match in the company. Shit. All right. Lance Storm told me on Twitter this was the second or third match with the company, and he's already appreciated by the ECW faithful. After some back and forth and some great wrestling, Candido beats the Blonde Bombshell, or hits the...
You were drunk when you were typing that.
I think I was. After some back and forth and some great wrestling, Candido hits the Blonde Bombshell, a top rope powerbomb for the win.
These guys coming out to Metallica and AC/DC, dude, I was laughing so hard because there ain't no way Heyman paid.
I was gonna say it would be great if they could do that now, but that's not how it works.
Did you know, guys? Chris Candido and Balls Mahoney were childhood friends and best friends as adults. Mahoney even named his son Chris in memory of Candido. And I've always thought that Candido could go in wrestling. He was just too small. He had the right build body-wise, but he was only like 4'7". So shit just didn't work. I think he'd have been a much bigger deal these days in wrestling with the smaller guys. But he was around in the time of the Land of the Giants, man. Just didn't work. I think Lance Storm's one that really would have shined like today in AEW. Both these guys were about 20 years too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Candido tried to pin Storm at one point in the match, but the referee stopped counting because Candido had his feet on the ropes. If ECW is extreme and there's no rules, why can't you pin somebody with your feet on the ropes?
They did that in another part of the show where someone reached out and grabbed the ropes during a submission and they started counting. I'm like, you just said it's a no DQ match. Why are you whatever?
How dare you try to accuse ECW of not using wrestling logic? How dare you?
We'll come back to that.
The powerbomb off the top rope for the win by Candido was a shock. I thought for sure Storm was going to win.
Where is Sonny?
Probably in the bathroom with Shawn Michaels.
Putting red lipstick on.
Clown mouth.
I thought Candido looked like a short Billy Gunn here. It's kind of what he looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Jacked to the gills, but 4'2". Do you think the patrons of ECW shows in like the first 5 rows had to sign a release because somebody should have been sued for all that shit that went down? You know, in case they got hit by a wrestler or stabbed by New Jack.
More on that later.
And Candido's finishing maneuver looks dangerous as fuck. Looked like he could have killed that guy.
Speaking of audience release forms, match 4, Bam Bam Bigelow coming out to Welcome to the Jungle takes on Spike Dudley, who comes out the Highway to Hell, AC/DC song number 3. Bigelow says he's going to throw Spike into the crowd like he did in Fort Lauderdale, and I believe he said that the crowd in Florida didn't crowd surf Spike. And if I'm thinking of the right show, the crowd just moved out of the way and let poor Spike Dudley just eat shit on the floor. They didn't catch him at all. Bam Bam starts off this match showing off his massive strength and size advantage, but Spike makes a comeback, even getting a 2 count off a tornado DDT, then drop kicks Bigelow over the top rope through a table. By the way, Spike Dudley weighed in at 155 pounds for this match.
Super heavyweight.
Yep. Crash Holly. Spike hits Bam Bam with a chair, then climbs the top rope and hits Bam Bam with the chair to the face for another 2. Bam Bam gets the advantage and launches Spike into the crowd, who surfs him back out, and Bam Bam gets the win in short order.
All right, Spike Dudley coming out the Highway to Hell was stupid.
It didn't make any sense.
None.
What are you talking about? He was literally on the Highway to Hell.
Unless that was his song for that match.
Because he was getting murdered.
Yes, he did.
And sitting there watching this, dude, I knew it was going to happen, and I couldn't wait to see Spike go flying. The 90s just hit different, dude. It was just different. Then we got an awesome "We Want Spike" chant because they wanted Spike to be thrown to them. Epic. And I am positive that Bam Bam Bigelow was only used right in ECW. WWF and WCW did not book him right. He should have always been booked as the monster heel that he was in ECW.
Correct.
Incorrect.
And this crowd was absolutely electric. And this is what made ECW great. Fan participation is key, and it is why people love ECW.
You know, fans participate at the Raw after WrestleMania a lot of times, and often it ruins.
And why is the Raw
show.
after WrestleMania the best Raw of the year?
Yeah.
Because the fans.
Like, for like 7 years, it sucked ass because the crowd sucked.
When? 1999?
I like when I was there for like 3 of them. They were terrible.
Well, yeah, because they were in Cincinnati.
WrestleMania hasn't been in Cincinnati. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, no, true.
So we're supposed to think Spike has a chance here?
Yes.
Just to the match. No. Stupid.
I'm gonna do my I'm gonna make this up on the fly. I'm gonna do a TJ's hot take here. And to Dave's point, I think when they brought in Bam Bam Bigelow to WCW to feud with Goldberg, because essentially he was out of guys, I think Bam Bam Bigelow should have beat Goldberg.
Yeah, that's a real hot take.
How is it not?
Bam Bam
no,
Bigelow
I'm saying it's a
Bill
real hot
Goldberg.
take.
Bam Bam was better than Bill Goldberg in every
But they booked him like shit in WCW.
way. Yeah.
Every facet of life. I don't know about that. Bam Bam's dead.
Yeah,
he's not as good
alive. He's not as good at life as Goldberg.
He is legitimately not as good at life as Goldberg.
Match 5. Shane Douglas with Francine takes on Phil LaFon with Doug Furnas. There's 4 matches after this, and this is the world title match.
Yep.
What are we doing?
Yep. They Douglas, like to do this. It's good.
They do it all the time. I found out in 1999 they did back-to-back shows where the world title started the show. Huh? Douglas tells the ECW audience to thank him for sending a 53-year-old piece of shit out to pasture. Then talks about how they'd be blowing Terry Funk if he were out here. And again, I'm going to ask, what are we doing right now? This was a decent heel promo and would have been better without the constant vulgarity and WWF bitterness. Phil LaFon was the hand-picked opponent by Rick Rude. Yes, that one. For Douglas, and the crowd loves it, even though I guarantee you, I was a giant wrestling fan in 97. I was 12. If I was watching this show, this ECW show in 1997, even after watching Furnas and LaFon wrestle as a tag team in the WWF, I'd barely know who this was. Doug Furnas with the line of the night, though. We've been in the WWF for the last 11 months, but I did not know we had to come here to find the biggest pussy in the business, and I'm not talking about Francine.
I love Francine.
Fantastic land. I do too. We need to get her on one of these days. After a series of cradles and side kicks, LaFon gets a pin, but Francine slaps him, and then he gets a sleeper on Douglas, but she nut shots LaFon, and now suddenly, oh, by the way, the contract states this is a no DQ match out of nowhere. A world title contract with a mystery opponent was predetermined to be a no disqualification. Sure. After LaFon was dominating this match, Francine intervenes again, and she gets a tiger bomb, which exposed her buttocks to the crowd.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I was not upset about that. Then Candido comes out, and now we have Furnas and LaFon teaming up to take on the harassers, but out comes Bam Bam. Furnas and Bigelow square off, and Furnas hits a DDT, and Triple Threat is eliminated, but the numbers become too much. Douglas reverses a cradle for the win. A slow and methodical match, but still good until the outside interference bullshit at the end.
So the only woman in wrestling who was ever ahead of Francine is Stacy Keibler.
All right, sidebar. Did you guys see the picture someone posted on Twitter of the most recent picture of Stacy Keibler?
Yes, she's still a 10.
Still a smoke show. Good
My God.
The only thing she has against her, she has really long toes. She was wearing toeless shoes, and she has long toes.
So she has an easier time picking up my underwear off the floor. Who gives a shit?
All right, your underwear never hitting the floor in her room.
You don't know that.
They'd never get off because I would just all in my shit.
He would just take off the first spaghetti strap.
Love it.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
It just happened to fall off her shoulder. And by the way, you're sitting 7 tables away from that lady.
So once again, the biggest issue at ECW championships on the line, and there's absolutely no build-up for this match.
And it was 4th.
And of course, the franchise won. No one really thought a failed WWF tag team wrestler was going to come in and win the ECW championship, did we?
Nope.
Well, I enjoyed the build-up that it was going to be Rick Rude. But then they brought out this guy, and I'm like, I can't think of a match I'd rather not see than Shane Douglas versus LaFon.
Phil LaFon.
Yeah. Phil LaFon is the second least talented Phil in wrestling, by the way.
That's not true. Phil LaFon was very good.
I know, but he's the second least talented. Number 1, Phil Brooks.
Who's above them, if I might ask?
Phil Castellini. No,
who the fuck is that?
That's the Reds GM. Never mind. Phil Nevin. Phil Nevin.
Phil McCrevis.
He put Phil McCrevis.
He was also a man. He was also a man of war, but he was from Spain. He was the Spanish man of war. Phil McCrevis.
That was a good one.
To your guys' point, once again, we have an ECW show where the main event is really far from the ECW championship. The fuck are they doing here? And is it just me, or does Shane Douglas look like Vince Neil here? I feel like he's going to break out into Kickstart My Heart.
That would have been better than this match.
And I don't know who's doing the finishes in these ECW matches, but they're fucking terrible. They need Pat Patterson's stat, because these things are small. Every match, how's it wind up? Smoz, 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 smoz. Terrible. By the way, the Pitbull stuff, stupid.
Haven't talked about it yet.
We're getting to it, but it's stupid. So much audio to cut. God damn it.
Just a warning, it's stupid.
Coelho, leave that in the video, but we're going to cut that audio and we'll come back.
Oh, God. Dude, I'm dying.
Well, as was foreshadowed, we head to a parking lot where some dork in an orange button-up shirt is calling Taz a pussy, who then gets his ass beaten for it by Taz.
I mean, to be fair, you could have been talking about either person in that fight, and it would have been some dork in an orange button-up.
Okay. Again, what is this? Now the pit bulls are bringing this dweeb out to the ring in a wheelchair and a neck brace. Amazing. The hospital cleared him to come to this show. And he's not a wrestler. He's just some guy. During their heel promo, they make the bold claim that the crowd needs to stop cheering for them. Don't worry, we're way ahead of you. Because not one of you people bought a ticket to see us. Well, that's accurate.
Correct.
It's a bold strategy by you, sir. They then described their meeting with Vince McMahon, which I'm sure never happened. This went on forever, so my focus wandered away, and I found out that the dork in the wheelchair was Lance Wright, who was the one guy out of the three who actually did go to the WWF as a ring announcer and lasted about 12 minutes.
It's Leon's son.
It's not. Eventually, who's Leon Wright?
That's Lil Man Vader.
Alex the son would have been a better one.
Alex Wright.
Eventually they call out Taz and he responds. Taz immediately gets powerbombed by Pitbull number 2. Then Taz responds with a T-bone suplex in the Taz mission, and then goes after the man in the wheelchair, which is a totally babyface thing to do.
Well, they were the same height at that point.
It's a dick thing to say, and suplexes him through a table. Taz then shoves a fan to the floor, and the cops are now involved. This spot, I will say this, was completely believable until they got in the ring. Had they stayed on the floor, they would have had something. Taz then attacks the cop with an armbar to the surprise of no one.
Oh, yes. Taz no selling. And then beating up a cripple. Good Lord.
Like I said,
Sweet.
He had to find a guy in a chair that was the same height with him.
Way to build up your top baby face, picking on the handicapped.
This Pitbull. Hey, I got shit to say.
Yeah, you said it before.
This Pitbull stuff is stupid. Who gives a fuck?
That's weird that you said that. I would not have expected that from you.
And it's only fitting I see someone wearing a Latrell Sprewell jersey in the crowd. Are you serious?
Try choking somebody.
This was right after he choked him. I mean, it was right after it.
We did that last year, actually.
Yeah, shouldn't have been standing there.
Shouldn't have been coaching there. Match 6. The same.
Don't tell me what to do. It's kind of my job.
The Sandman takes on Sabu in a ladders, fire, and mayhem match. We've had literally 4 decent to great wrestling matches, and Bam Bam launching Spike into orbit, and here comes the violence. I actually don't hate the tactic. But again, having this on after the world title match is puzzling. They announced during the match that Sabu was ECW champion for 1 week after he beat Funk at Born to Be Wired, which was disgusting, and then lost it at Hardcore Heaven to Douglas in a 3-way dance the week before the show. I never knew Sabu won a singles title in ECW. Ever. This match was just random chaos and really dominated by the Sandman until Sabu blows a fireball in the general direction of the Sandman, then blew one on the mat toward no one. The crowd then chants, "Sabu sucks dick," then applauds him when he gets up.
Sandman entrance, highly overrated.
This was not Sandman's entrance. It was just the song. He didn't do the entrance.
Yes, he did.
He didn't come through the crowd.
He didn't come through the crowd, though.
Oh,
the Sandman entrance, the Sandman entrance is the only thing Sandman was good at.
So correct. He was not good at wrestling.
When you saw Sandman coming down the walkway at ECW Arena, you're going, something's about to happen, because he doesn't ever do that unless something's going to happen.
The only thing worse than Sandman's entrance is Bill Alfonso's teeth.
I already said my part, stupid. Go ahead.
Yeah, he did.
Correct.
Reading's hard.
And was Sandman ever on PWI's top 500? Because if he was, I'm completely throwing that ranking out forever.
I guarantee
he was many times.
I guarantee he was.
That is fucking terrible. This match, just a fucking car crash. Sandman clobbered Sabu with a kendo stick to the face, which probably not advisable. They took Sandman out from the fire in an ambulance, but it looks like Sabu was the one who needed it. Terrible.
All right, so Sandman PWI top 500. In 1991, he was 433.
There you go.
In 1992, he was 256. 93, 161. 94, 160. His high, 1995, 60.
Were they watching wrestling?
1996, he was 65. And in this year, right here, 1997, he finished 69. He was ranked in 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 2006, and 2007.
I got one better for you. Do you guys want to do an edited box score trivia and try to guess the top 5 PWI top 500 in 1997?
Bret Hart.
No Bret Hart, no Undertaker. Undertaker's not in the top 10. Steve Austin's number 3.
Goldberg.
No Goldberg. You're not going to guess the other 4. I'm just going to tell you that now.
Are they Americans?
3 of them are. 3 of the remaining 4 are. One's Japanese. So the Japanese wrestler is Misaharu Misawa.
Ric Flair.
He was
if
2.
One's not former WCW World Heavyweight Champion and Florida State Seminole legend, that shit is wrong.
Oh, Undertaker was number 6, by the way. I read that wrong.
Hulk Hogan.
Nope.
Rob Van Dam.
Nope.
Roddy Piper.
All 3 of the remaining top 5, because you said Austin and Misawa, all 3 of the remaining top 5 are in WCW in 1997.
Nash.
Ric Flair.
Nope. Nash is number 13.
Piper.
Nope.
Rey Mysterio.
Nope. And no to both.
Benoit.
Number 10.
Eddie Guerrero.
Nope.
Chris Jericho.
Nope. I can't believe this.
Is this the one that had the really weird number 1? It was like Dean Malenko or some shit.
Number 1, Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I remember that year.
Number 5, Lex Luger.
Oh, God.
And number 4, Diamond Dallas Page.
I might give it to DDP in 97.
I would too.
All right. How do you have a top 500 wrestlers list that is willing to judge Dean Malenko as number 1, but give the Sandman number 69? Because could not be more opposite ends of the spectrum.
Just some other notables. The Giant was number 8. Taz was number 11. Owen Hart 16, Jeff Jarrett 17, Shawn Michaels 18, Randy Savage 19, and let's see, Scott Hall 25, Eddie Guerrero 24. We'll do one more notable. Rey Mysterio Jr. 29.
Did Helen Keller vote on that year or what?
No, but Diana Hart-Smith did.
Well, she's a trash bag too.
All right, let's continue.
Yes, where are we going? Match 7.
I'm pretty sure the Sandman looks like the local guy who visits the bar you go to from time to time, who has to get there by bicycle because he has 11 DUIs.
Yeah,
it's incorrect.
Incorrect. Afford the moped.
That guy is way cooler than Sandman.
And I have to say, there is nothing worse in wrestling than watching an ECW match with Sabu or Rob Van Dam in it because of Bill Alfonso and that fucking whistle.
It's like that fucking cricket at TJ's house.
And I did like the fireball spot at the end of the match, but I wish that it would have messed up because that would have been the most ECW thing ever.
It did the second time.
Sandman, of course, can't drive because 11 DUIs, but he will rough the fuck out of your house with those pants. Absolutely. Match 7. RVD and Bill Alfonso take on Beulah McGillicuddy and Tommy Dreamer. For those of you who don't know the story behind this match, let's have a history lesson. During this time, there was an unknown conduit between ECW and WCW. And if you remember, Heyman did not hate WWF, partly because they were funding him to stay open. He definitely hated WCW. So there's some unknown mole in the company that was proving to be a phone line between his talent and WCW. This led to Rey Mysterio Jr., Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Psychosis, Saturn, Stevie Richards, Jericho, and most painful, Raven, head to WCW. As the story goes, a voicemail was found on the home phone of Bill Alfonso he was discovered to be the mole. Heyman wanted to fire him, but the boys liked Bill, so he had to make up for it. This was the match which made Bill on the up and up with Paul. This is one of the bloodiest matches, not just in ECW, but in wrestling history, and Alfonso literally nearly bled to death. It is a spectacle to watch. It's also noteworthy that after this match, the only ECW wrestlers that went to WCW were as a result of an ugly money issue. Mike Awesome, Sandman, and Bigelow, most notably. Sabu comes out immediately, and him and RVD just destroy Tommy Dreamer, which leads to Beulah versus Bill Alfonso. After the fall brawl is cleared away and Dreamer is carried away, the match of the decade begins, and I don't mean that lightly. These two, Beulah and Fonzie, beat the shit out of each other. You can tell immediately that Alfonso is not moving well. That doesn't stop him. Not only is Fonzie's face completely covered in blood, but his black shirt is noticeably wet. And it's not from sweat. Alfonso is on the offensive until Beulah hits a Hurricane Rana and gets the pin. What a mess Alfonso was afterwards, and it's a small miracle he didn't die.
When Sabu and RVD came out and the three of them jumped on Dreamer through the table, he totally landed on Dreamer's head.
Yes, he did.
He has got to be one of the most unsafe workers in the history of the business.
Correct. By the way, Katie Forbes, 6 here.
Why do you keep doing that?
Because he's gross.
We know
she's 31 now, man. Shit's
she's 31 now.
He wasn't with her when she was 6. He was with her when she was like 25. That's all.
You don't know.
Well, that's a relief. That's a relief.
Dreamer comes out
to 52 and she was 25. That's all right.
Dreamer comes out to man in the box. I'd like to be in Beulah's box.
If you got Hustler magazine, you could have seen her box.
I've seen it.
Me too.
To your point, TJ, there is legit too much blood and violence on this show. It's no, not
from
for
just
me.
This one match.
And do you know how much money I would give to Powerbomb Beulah? Just
$12.
Bury your face right in that.
Even after she had a match, I would still do it.
Correct. Like, you just finished? Oh, you got Alfonso's blood in your crotch? Okay.
I'm like, oh, you're on your period. Oh, wait, that's Fonzie's.
Oh, that's fun. There's a whistle in here too.
And at the end of this match, everything about that mat says you're going to get hepatitis.
For shizzle.
I just love how this match starts off. Beulah hits Fonzie with a cookie sheet. Have you ever been hit with a cookie sheet?
Yes.
It's not that bad.
Nah, I could do it.
That's where he took the shot to the head when he went and bladed himself and damn near killed himself.
Yep.
From a cookie sheet.
So it was on him.
Timmy, you've never been hit with a cookie sheet?
Why would I get hit with a cookie sheet?
Timmy's getting hit with a cookie sheet. Okay.
Yep. Next time you come to my house, I'm whapping your ass with a cookie sheet. Now, she pulled out a frying pan. That shit would hurt. Luckily, Fonzie got the clip punch in, so he didn't have to eat a frying pan.
That's the best sentence you've ever written on this show.
But this match was fucking terrible, but oh so great at the same time. And like you said, I am totally jealous that Alfonso got to put his face in Beulah's crotchal regions. Lucky dude.
He couldn't taste it because he was busy bleeding into it. But
well, he was half brain dead. I read a story that by the time he got to the back, he had lost a third of his blood.
But to be fair, that was on him. He bladed.
Not arguing that, but I think what Paul Heyman realized about Fonzie and his dedication, he could have called for the finish early. Well, something's wrong, and he stayed out there and just did what he could.
Well, he fucking owed it to him after giving all that talent away.
Not arguing that either. Match 8, or actually, what actually ended up being the main event. The Dudley Boys take on New Jack and John Cronus. We start out with a promo from Joe Gertner, which is always welcome. Love Joe getting heel heat on the ref, saying he was the biggest Cowboys fan in the building, unnecessarily, while Joe Gertner's wearing an Emma Smith jersey. Now we have to do an intro for every Dudley member that ever existed. Joe Gertner then calls Big Dick Dudley the only true mastodon in professional wrestling. I didn't know up to this point exactly what mastodon meant, and I've heard it so many times. I wanted to know. So I Googled it and went to Dave's favorite site, dictionary.org. And it is a large, extinct, elephant-like mammal of the Miocene to Pleistocene epochs, having teeth of a relatively primitive form and number. It's TJ's word of the day. Here comes New Jack, which means 8 minutes of rap and gratuitous violence. New Jack jumps on a divan on a table from the announced position, which leaves Bubba Ray and Cronus in the ring. As Dudley piles on the punishment that goes for a cover, but New Jack breaks up the pin. Cronus then hits a 450 splash, and Cronus and New Jack win the tag titles to end the show. And they apparently call themselves the Hardcore Survivors. New Jack is still one of the biggest shitbirds in wrestling, for the record.
Well, he's dead now.
I wrote history, but forgot to say it. So New Jack is still one of the biggest shitbirds in wrestling history, for the record.
Okay.
Correct. Rest in
rest.
Not peace, just rest. They forgot to turn off the music again. Why do they keep doing that in ECW?
Forgot?
Yeah, apparently.
They didn't forget.
This whole thing's a fucking mess. It's embarrassing that it's called wrestling.
Why did New Jack have a guitar? Do we ever discover why that was?
He beat up Jeff Jarrett in the back before the show started.
Oh.
So the remnants of 2 other tag teams combined to beat supposedly the best tag team in ECW. That is by far the most ECW thing ever. Fuck.
While I love the song Natural Born Killers by Dr. Dre and Ice Cube,
the third time gets a little dragging on you.
I don't need to listen to it during an entire wrestling match. If you can even call this a wrestling match.
It's not.
I'd like to interview the Dudley Boys one day and see what they thought of working with New Jack and shit like this. But yeah, this match was stupid. I'm sure me 25 years ago would have been like, hey, this is awesome. But watching it now, this is not good for the sport of professional wrestling.
Nope.
I would much rather watch just a normal tag team match than this silliness.
I'd rather watch the fucking Young Bucks.
You think about it. You think about how over the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Your Glory or whatever it was that we saw in Chicago.
That was absurd.
That's a match. The Gangstonators got the win, but they dropped the titles to the FBI less than a month later.
Why? I just thought of this. Why didn't they just have the Dudley Boys take on Doug Furnace and Phil LaFon?
That'd have been a great match.
I know. Yeah.
Well, here's what I love is every time we watch an ECW show, I shit all over it and tell you how fucking terrible it is. Where you guys are like, no, this was not the good period of ECW. We've literally watched every period of ECW.
No, this
I've not seen a good match yet.
This was the good period of ECW.
I've not seen a good event yet. There were a couple good matches on this show.
This was the best one we've seen by far.
Oh yeah, by far.
Because there wasn't.
I mean,
it wasn't.
Fair, yes, but that's because everything else was shit.
Well, it wasn't because it was because not every match was broken glass matches with an actual match in between. There was, we started off with 4 or 5 actual decent matches, then ended the violence at the end, which, take it or leave it, some of it was okay, most of it was not. We almost watched Bill Alfonso die, so there's that. But, I for the most part, I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
Last half of the show completely turned me off.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, which I'm sure you all did, minus the cricket, please let us know. Give us that 5-star review wherever you get this podcast. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter at FF Popcast, which is also where you can find the link to our merch store. As for us, you can find all of us on our social media platforms at Timmy C.
At Timmy C 1979.
Dollar Bill Dave.
At Dave and the QC.
I am at T Stevens 91. Next week, we're going to cover Mid-Atlantic Wrestling from October 22nd, 1983. Yaz says goodbye. The Leafs and the Hawks play rapid fire. Ron Grant goes around down under, and so much more. This has been the Filter Free Podcast, and so long for now.
Hey, guys. What did they find in Jeffrey Dahmer's shower?
Oh, God. What?
Head and shoulders.
Bill Alfonso.